Cutting shooting lanes at Swamp's Edge. William Hovey Smith, 2023.
This is Hovey Smith, a backyard sportsman. And I'm back in my swamp, continuing to improve this area so that I can hunt it for hogs, as well as next season for wild turkey and deer. We've done several things this year. One is we've rejuvenated my brother-in-law's golf cart so I can use it now that he's passed on. And we have also repaired in a previous video a tree stand that I can put back here and hang on a tree, as well as a feeder over here which I can put feed in corn and attract game. Not shown is a Craftsman lawnmower and a cart, which I've also been working on since my brother-in-law died, to use it to also give me an alternative means to get back here, and the cart is actually more convenient to load game on. On today's trip, what we're going to do is take a chainsaw and clear out some of this area behind me. It's barely shootable now because a lot of shrubs and small trees obscure the road, and the chances of putting a clean shot, particularly with archery equipment, through it, are pretty problematic. So I've got the saw, I've got it running, so we're going to take that and an axe and get some of this junk out of here, so at least we have a reasonable chance of hitting what we aim at. You can now see somewhat better the area I'm going to be cutting, and also this detachable Badlands winch, which I have installed on the golf cart to enable me to better pull out deer, as well as, actually work out some of this wood, and you'll see me use it later in the episode. We have done our initial cutting, and I'm leaving the larger trees and cutting out the smaller ones, but a lot of them are just cut at the base. I'm going to need to pull them out and then use the chainsaw to cut them up in more manageable sections. This is a Badlands winch from Harbor Freight, and supposedly there's a red knob on the other side from the control that you pull out and allows the spool to freewheel and unwind it. But for some reason or other, it doesn't want to work today. So we had to spool it out and use the battery to do it, which is not all that good. But now I'm going to start taking up the slack. Now we've got the slack out of the system, I'll go ahead and bring that tree down flat and cut it up with the chainsaw. The wire has hopped over and actually caught behind the roller there that it's on, which is not good, so I'm going to have to unwind it and put it back in the right place. Now we have it going directly, and I'll guide it as I pull this time to keep it from doing that again. Now I got the tree back to the go-kart, but the top is being hung up and propped up by other bits of trees, so I'm going to have to take those down. Now at least I can start cutting on it in a more comfortable fashion. Now that I've cleared out the workspace, I can go ahead and drag out another tree. And there you see the pile of straight sections that I'll drag out at once. And back behind the chainsaw, another leaning tree that I'll take on next in exactly the same way. That pull put too much pressure on the clothesline rope and it broke it. The knot didn't fail, but the clothesline failed. All right, so we need a stronger rope, and got one. We now have 4 passes of nylon cord, so this should be able to pull it out with my golf cart, so we shall see. We've now got the largest of the trees that we're going to be taking out here secured to the club car golf cart, and we're going to drag it out to our workplace. Took one of his brothers down with it, but now we have it where we can easily cut it up. Well, we've been at this for 5 hours, and certain doggies are telling me that they are ready to go back home. Thank you very much. We've had our swim, and we've done our digging, and our looking, and our chasing, and it's time to go. Well, I think I agree with them. Plus, I have to bring back a trailer so I can actually haul this wood. I cannot pull it with this golf cart. It is the next day, and we have returned. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and the fog is burned off. Our order of work today is going to be to get our chainsaw regassed and the chains tightened, and load up these limbs and parts of small trunks that we have cut, and get these hauled off, and then continue
to remove our already cut branches. When we get through, we will have 3 clear shooting lanes, whereas before we only had a portion of one and it wasn't all that good. So yeah, we've considerably improved things. The reason I use my lawnmower and this small cart is that it's just easier to operate on these small trails where your width might be quite limited. Although it is possible to get a small truck back in here, and I could if I really had to, you are going to scratch it up and do other nasties to it that I'd otherwise avoid. And this does just fine. And the reason I don't own a four-wheeler is because I don't want one. I have this tractor, which I use for mowing lawn. I have another old Craftsman that I usually take back in the woods, but it is ancient and I need to replace its fuel system. It has developed a bad leak. The fuel hoses from the gas tank are just rotten. So we have to do something about that. And so we're going to get started. Now there are those who would say that, well, these aren't really trees. I mean, if you're going to cut something big. Well, I have done many times before, and if you'll go back and look at my old videos, I will. And I'm not interested in a four-wheeler because what do I need a four-wheeler for when I have these lawn tractors that'll do very much the same? We've just about got a load here, so I need to take this off. And in the southeast, we've got a large variety of trees. Just in these piles, we've got 2 varieties of pine, probably 3 varieties of oak, sweet gum, holly, and dogwood that I can readily identify. So this is why these woods are so productive, and this is why we have such a long deer season in Georgia. Besides having generally mild weather, yeah, all of these trees bear fruit from time to time, and the deer browse on different parts of most of them. So yeah, down here in the swamp, they have a lot of food, particularly on a rainy year, like this past year and actually the present year too. So unless we have a strange late frost, I suspect there's plenty of water to make just tons and tons of acorns back here this year. We've now got a load of small limbs and grapevines and a little pine in there and a little wild cherry too to haul off. And I think we're just about to call it a day. I'll take this off and dump it and come back and load up all my kit and then head back home. We're back at our swamp edge clearing again. And what we've got loaded on board the cart is mostly hickory, adding to yet another species that we've taken from down here. One major species of the southern swamps we have that we're not down in the wet to get is cypress. There is cypress down in the swamp itself, but here on the higher uplands, no, this is just not suitable habitat. It's not wet enough, not enough water. They really like standing water to grow in. Okay, so we're going to haul this off and come back for another. We've now cleared out approximately 30 yards of frontage here. So I'll have a much better chance in making a good shot. The tree I'm going to be shooting from is behind that white oak. You see a straight grain tree going straight up, and then a branch that turns downward. I set up my tree stand immediately beneath that branch. So now I have a much better possibility of making good killing shots from this location. Well, we'll have to wait and see come deer season if it pays off. I have every reason to believe that it will. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye.
God bless, and see you next time.